it's time to add speech bubbles and text to our comic. You'll need your inked comic and a pen. You don't have to use the same pen that you inked the comic with. Here I'm using a thinner pen, and I'm also using a wider one to do some thicker outlines and bold text. I'm going to draw the outlines of the speech bubbles first, referring back to my script so I know what kind of mood and feeling I'm trying to portray. We've learned how different types of speech bubbles can be used across a comic. Now it's time for you to add them to yours. I don't have any text in my first panel, so I'm not going to write anything, because the drawing speaks for itself. We see Bubble Girl walking down a path. You don't always need extra text to describe a scene. Let your drawing speak for itself. Next, Bubble Girl sees the wand and says, "I wonder what this does." I'm just going to use a regular speech bubble for this one. She's a bit curious, but there's no strong emotions or sounds. In our next panel, she says, "Oh wow." She's saying it quietly, so I'm going to use a small bubble for her speech. This is also to show she's curious, but not yet super excited by what's happening. There's no speech as she transforms. I could add some sound effects here if I wanted to, though. In the next panel, she thinks, "Now that I have these powers, what am I going to do?" Lastly, she exclaims, "I know, I'll become a superhero." She shouts this out loud, so I'm going to use a big spiky bubble. I'm also going to write superhero in big bold text. That's where she puts the emphasis. It's an important moment and the end of our comic. In the next session, which is also our last, we're going to learn some colouring techniques using coloured pencils so we can add another element to our comic.